This is a quote by Bob Marley which says, "Only once in your life, I truly believe, you find someone who can completely turn your world around. You tell them things that you've never shared with another soul, and they absorb everything you say and actually want to hear more. You share hopes for the future, dreams that will never come true, goals that were never achieved, and the many disappointments life has thrown at you." This is Angela Katua's story. Angela's love story started way back in 2004, a relationship that led to motherhood, hence its end.
My name is Angela Katua. I am the eighth born in a family of 10. I was brought up in a village called Kitisa in Makueni. And my parents were teachers, both of them. They're both retired now. My dad is late. But now when I was growing up, I grew up as a girl who goes to church. Someone who was brought up with a lot of good faith, knowing God, and yeah, our parents really encouraged us to know who God is and to live a good life and be very kind people because they were givers. So we also learned how to give from them and how to be good people. And after primary school, that's where I did my primary school. Then I went to high school in a school in Kitui. And then from there, I went to Strathmore to do my CPAs. I did my CPAs, finished, and got a job with a construction firm. After now getting the job, I worked for some years. And while I was working there, I met someone who was quite loving. We had a very good relationship. We met in 2004. And towards the end of 2006, I had a baby with him, but the relationship didn't work. I guess it's one of those relationships, you know, you're not meant to be together, so you just have to end it somehow.
Angela never gave up on Marta's love, hence giving it a second chance. This time round, being more careful about it, hence the saying, once bitten, twice shy. The relationship grew and they ended up staying as husband and wife.
So in 2009, I felt that it's time for me now to start my own business. So I started a company in the construction field as a contractor. So I worked now with my company and I was doing quite well. And I think as a young girl, I was really working hard. And I had saved a little, and yeah, I was even in 2014. I was still doing well. There was challenges, yes, but I was doing well. So I kind of felt that there was something that was missing in me, and that is love. So I felt I had the money. I have a child, and you know, children also have the pressure, a way of pushing us parents, and mostly single parents, to kind of start thinking that now this child needs a father. So I think that missing gap made me feel that I can settle down with someone. And I met a guy who appeared to be the one, you know. So I fell in love with him. He was quite, you know, those people who talk a lot, and yeah, and someone who I would say I felt that he was loving because he was always there. We would spend a lot of time together, and introduced me to a lot of his friends. And this guy was a foreigner. He's from Ghana. So after dating for about 3 months, we started living together. And the way we started living together was not the right way, because initially he would support here and there. You know, when you go for dinner, he would buy dinner once in a while. Other times I would come in and chip in. Most of the times now it started being like I'm the one doing almost everything. And I think it's something that many women don't do. And that is the nature of life. That's how it's supposed to be. A man who waits for the woman to do most of the things should raise an eyebrow. So, but for me, it didn't really come up. I think because of the way I was brought up, I knew it's okay to give, and I was looking at it like I'm giving it to my person. So we continued living together. He moved into my house because his house was a bit smaller. So, and I didn't see it as a problem because being a foreigner, it was self-explanatory that he didn't need to have a big house. So he moved into my house and we continued living together. And immediately we started looking for a baby. I got pregnant, and 2 months down the line I had a miscarriage. We continued again looking for a baby, and I got pregnant again. And now along all this time, I'm the one supporting. He's in the football business as a football agent. So he used to bring footballers from his country to Kenya, to Tanzania, Ethiopia, and other countries. Though I didn't know much about it, but I learned a little bit about it, and I started supporting him because now the contract that I was doing at the time had gotten finished. When I was about 5 months pregnant, now we were totally broke. And he kept on saying that if he goes back to Ghana, then he would sell some of his property or send me some money and support me even much better instead of the way we were struggling.
As an innocent girl that had really fallen in love, Angela never suspected anything about her partner, not until when she could not take it anymore. But still, even after her partner's characters were exposed, Angela still made some sacrifices in the name of love.
Some months before around that time now, we started talking about him leaving. I realized that this guy is even cheating on me. He's going out a lot with so many women, and the reason for going out was, first, of course, you must be a cheat or a player, I would say, to be able to be doing those things. And second, he would lie to these women to give him money. So I would see him come home with some money, and I'm like, where did you get this from? And he would say that some footballers have paid a deposit. But later, I would even get calls from women that they want to know who am I in his life, because he used to put my photos in the social media. People would know that maybe when you meet someone, sometimes you want to just look up some background, and nowadays it's a bit easy because we have the social media. So I thought that I was really getting the info. I thought that I was staying with someone who is straightforward, but women would call me and say, I gave him some money, I gave him this, I did this for him, he's been coming to my house. But for me, I didn't know what really he was doing, but because he used to come home every day. I can't say that he's ever spent a night elsewhere except in my house. So I had reason to trust him. But then after starting getting those calls, then I started feeling like this is not straight. So I prayed and told God, if this guy is not mine, then let him leave. Now, because we were getting too broke and he was also cheating, I decided to just help him leave, so that now he can come back. And he promised that he will come back after about 3 months after selling the property that he was selling. His sisters would tell him that they have gotten a client for the property that he was selling, and so he needs to be there to sign. So I sold my car to buy him a ticket, and paid a little bit of the bills that we had. And selling a car as a second hand, it doesn't fetch a lot of money, and it wasn't a big car. So I just helped him, and I decided, let me help him to leave, then he comes back. So he left, and he never came back. Though we kept on talking. He would call me, we would talk almost every day. And I gave birth, he supported. But now we had to move from the big house to a smaller house that was a bit affordable. So now he started supporting a little bit. I'm still with the footballers, remember? Yeah, he left me with them. But now when I gave birth, they had to move out because now it's a small house. I needed a house help who will support me fully, and yeah. So he was sending a little money, but not much. So it was really strenuous for me and the babies.
Then came that particular moment when Angela had to make the toughest decision, which seemed to be good at that particular moment, moving out to go settle in Ghana together with her partner. But shock was awaiting.
Some months down the line, we agreed, why don't we go to Ghana instead of him coming back? So we agreed that I'm going to get the kids the passports, and he's going to send us the tickets. So I did my part, got the passports, and because now we had planned to go on a certain date, I sold my things, my house items, I gave out some of them, and I moved in with my sister, who was supporting me now just for a few weeks before we leave, because I didn't see the reason for continuing to pay rent. My son, who was in school, the firstborn, I had stopped him from school because it was over the August holiday. Now, that was in 2015. We waited for the tickets. My parents, my aunties, my friends came and did a party for me, a farewell party. We continued waiting for the tickets, which never came. So what I did now as a parent, I had to do homeschooling for my son. Bought books and continued just training him in the house, because I think it's not hard to do primary school training, the 844 system. So I continued training him, and luckily he's a bright child, and he really caught a lot of things that I was teaching him.
Now imagine a point where you have sold your household items, given out some to the needy, and the worst of it all, having a farewell party done by relatives and friends, only for the worst to happen, receiving a call from Ghana. Your partner's wife just calls to confirm their marriage.
So in December, I got a call from a lady who told me that she's the guy's wife, and they've been married for 10 years. And I couldn't believe it, so I told her, send me evidence that it's true, you've been married. And she sent me photos from a wedding album. And it just dawned on me that all along I've just been played. I used to keep contact with these footballers because they were still in Kenya. Actually, some of them were even stranded here. So we would talk, and they would tell me the way this guy is good and all that. But then much later, now when I realized that it's true he's married, I confronted them. They said that they had to cover him because they needed a place to stay and all that. The family, they said they had to cover him because he needed a child, and he had gotten a woman who can give him a child because he didn't have a child from the other marriage. So the wife told me that they've never had a child. When I knew he's married, after his wife called me, I confronted him. I confronted the family, everyone. First I confronted him, and he told me, yes, it is true that she's there. They've been married for 10 years, and it's been a rocky relationship, and he's been looking for ways to move out, to divorce her, because they are not compatible and all that, giving me all kinds of explanations. And I knew that for you to have lied to me that much, I had a child, and I had seen him even hurt other women here in Kenya when he was living with me. Women who have children even calling him dad, and it was very inhumane for me. So I just had to call everything off. I talked to the parents, the sisters, and they all said that they had to cover him because they wanted the best for him. And for me, it was like, you don't care about any other person out there so long as you get what you want. And we have so many people who are like that. They're very selfish. They want what they can get. So I knew even if he was to divorce or he was leaving her or what, I knew this is not someone that I should spend the rest of my life with, because it's not going to be any different. So I now had to start working again, and luckily, because of my experience in the construction field, I got someone who gave me a job, got some money, moved out from my sister's place.
Forgiveness was the next journey that Angela had to take, which was not a smooth one, but chose to follow it. Hence Martin Luther King Jr.'s quote, which states, "We must develop and maintain the capacity to forgive. He who is devoid of the power to forgive is devoid of the power to love. There is some good in the worst of us and some evil in the best of us. When we discover this, we are less prone to hate our enemies."
I knew that I had to detach personally, emotionally, and mostly after going through the training, I was able to fully detach emotionally. But because now he's the father of my son, and my boy is now 4 years. So he's also at the stage where he will keep on asking, who is my father? Where is my father? I want to talk to daddy. Because, in school, they get a lot of pressure also from others who have come from straight families or complete families. So I don't hate him. I forgive him, because forgiveness is for me, it's not for him. And for me to move on and to accept life as it is, I just had to forgive. I need the healing. So I forgave him, and he calls once in a while. He wants to know about the child. He doesn't support financially. He stopped supporting I think 2 years back now. He's not really supported. So, but he still calls, and I would tell him that we are okay. I used to send him photos of the baby, and it reached a point where I realized that he still never learned anything. And because he's never learned, he feels that he's entitled. He's entitled to to see the baby whenever he feels like, and he's not doing anything for him. So where now I have reached in my life is that I'm not being selfish, but he needs to learn that for him to even see the baby, he needs to have a connection with him. He needs to at least be there, like support, and yeah. Because I feel that he, looking at it now in depth, he stole from the child before he was born. And he's still stealing because he doesn't give him what he deserves or what is his. And a parent should be responsible enough to support. And because I know he's able to support, but he just doesn't want to. Yeah, so I've stopped if he calls, I would tell him, yeah, he's okay. But I would talk to him in a friendly way. I don't insult, I don't tell him those bad things or anything. I've healed enough to that point.
Out of the bad or good experiences we go through, there is always a lesson to learn, hence extending the message to the world, since there could be many others sailing through the same boat, but with no courage to speak out. For Angela, this became a calling, reaching out to people going through tough situations, hence transformation.
Now in 2017, around towards end of 2017 is when I did my course and my training on personal development, and I realized that I have the calling. I have been sent here for a purpose. Everyone is on earth for a purpose, and we are all here to touch other people's lives. And I realized that my purpose is to encourage others, to just help transform others from a point of despair to a point of knowing that I can make it, I can achieve it. And like Lupita Nyong'o says, your dreams are valid. Sometimes we have these big dreams and we think that yes, we have them, but they belong to someone else, or we can never achieve them. But if you believe yourself, if you believe in your power, you know God is there to hold your hand, and He sent you here for a reason. And you connect your purpose or whatever passion you're doing with humanity and God, then God is going to show you a way. So I realized that I have the purpose to encourage other people, inspire, and I knew that my story is my life, my mistakes and all those things, because I knew that this story has to be used. I have to use this story to encourage other people. People are really suffering out there. People in silence. Others are suffering and doing things the wrong way to get even, to revenge and all that. But at the end of the day, if you look at your life and whatever you've gone through and whatever has happened to you, nothing happened to you without you being responsible for it. If I was careful enough to look at even my first relationship and know that this relationship will not lead into anything, I wouldn't have engaged into sexual relation with this guy. I wouldn't have gotten pregnant. And I'm not saying that the children are not good, are not there, are not important. I love my children to death. And I know God gave me these children for a reason. He created me for a reason, and He's created them also for a reason. We will always attract what we are. Giving an example of my two relationships, they both sound to be very different, but they are both very similar in this way. Both men were very loving. Those people who are very romantic, bringing you roses, flowers, telling you all those good things that you want, women want to hear. And I think I was, now that is me. That is the me. And I can get carried away very fast by those things. But then I had to, after knowing who I am, I had to now know that this is a place of weakness to some point, because it can draw me to getting what really I don't deserve. Because most of these things that come in a colorful way, when you break the shell, inside there's nothing, it's empty. But if you want something that is really good, it doesn't just come easy. You have to really work on it. So we need to work on ourselves and stop believing that we just belong in that depressed state that we were put by someone, or somehow we put ourselves into, because we did not take care of ourselves. We didn't take time to learn ourselves. We didn't take time we ignored those things. And many people are getting into relationships just because it is available. You see, this man is married and he wants me, and because nobody else has come asking for your time, then you give in. And most of the times, these kind of relationships, they even make you worse. So instead of doing that, take time to heal. Because when you do not heal, you're wounded. You will start bleeding on people who never hurt you. So we need to be very deliberate with our lives. We need to know that our miracles are in our hands. Pray for it. Pray about it. Work on it. Work on yourself. Work on what it is that you want. Yeah, so basically we need to stop giving up and knowing that our big dream of a nice marriage. I used to imagine myself when I was young walking down the aisle and there's a tall gentleman there wearing a black suit waiting for me at the altar. And I still have that dream. It doesn't matter how old you are. People are getting married even at 50 and they live happily ever after. So we need to just work on ourselves and believe that love is there. And love will liberate you, but you have to begin by loving yourself.
We see them and refer them as single mothers. We know nothing behind their status. Each one of them has had their humble pie, and before you judge them, listen to them. And to all single mothers, yes, there might have been mistakes that have been made in the past, but your future is more greater than what could be happening around you. Remember, it is never too late to start all over again.